Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to give you a sneak peek into the world of non-traditional hours and childcare. This isn't a full training. It's just designed to help you understand what extended hours involves and where it might be right for your business. And we're also going to share some key insights and help you identify next steps if you want to explore this further. If you're interested in a full training, this is a perfect segue into our non-traditional hour micro-learning track. These small study group sessions are created space for connection with other providers while still offering you some clear step-by-step guidance to help you move forward with confidence. Now, whether you're just getting started or building a plan for the long-term success, these tracks are here to help support you. Okay, so we are going to go through a quick disclaimer. This project is supported by the Administration for Children and Families, the United States Department of Health and Human Services, as part of a financial assistance award totaling 5,378,809 individuals with 100% funded by the ACF HHS. Okay. The information contained here has been prepared by Civitas Strategies. It's not intended to institute legal, tax, or financial advice. The Civitas Strategies team has used reasonable efforts in collecting, preparing, and providing this information, but it does not guarantee its accuracy, completeness, adequacy, or currency. The publication and distribution of this information are not intended to create and
Okay.
receive does not constitute an attorney client or any other advisory relationship. Reproduction of this information and recording of this content, including the use of AI, are expressly prohibited. Only non-commercial uses of this work are permitted. Okay? Now, when we're talking about non-traditional hours, we'll start by understanding what really brought you here today. This is really going to help us tailor this discussion to your interest. So we do have a poll here. And for this, please select which of the answers from the poll really resonates with you the most. You should be able to see the poll here in the window pop up on your screen. And then we'll go ahead and go over some of the results of what brought you here today. All right. So let's go ahead and start out that poll. Here we go. And everybody should be able to see the poll there. We'll give you about maybe 10 more seconds, and then we'll go ahead and see what everybody has to say. While everyone is answering, thank you so much for being here. I did forget to do introductions. My name is Angelina Montoya. I am with Civitas Strategies. I am an associate. I am a personal business coach as well as your business coaches here with Texas Family Child Care Network. And we also have with us Jen Vale. She's right there. She's she's helping us out with the poll and whatnot. So what we'll go ahead and do is we'll share, let's see what these results are from everyone. Okay. Okay. A lot of curious. All right. Okay. Well, we do get a good variety and a great mix of reasons why everybody is here. What these answers are really telling me is that we do have a lot of people who are in different stages of what they think about non-traditional hours or extended hours, as others might see it. Okay. What we're trying to see is what is perfect for today's overview is really, I want to thank you for sharing and letting me know where you stand. We do see a lot of who want to serve with families, and we do also see what families work better with timing. And that's really important is to understand where the families are. So when we're looking at this, we also see that there are a lot of you who are willing to help families where it's needed. During this session, we'll give you a high level overview of several key areas. And a lot of this really are the questions that are on your screen. What are the non-traditional hours? And is there really a demand in your community for them? Staff realities as well, and pricing basics. So, what are your next steps? And this really comes down to what is that this is really just a sneak peek. And what we offer really is comprehensive training through the micro learning track. So this is just a quick view of something that you might be interested in. But we do have personalized one-on-one coaching for those who are ready to dive deeper into it. And that's why we have this QR code here on the screen, is because you can go ahead and sign up for one of the coaching. And we do have the learning tracks, we have the one-on-ones, and all of these will also be inside of the chat so that you can go ahead and click on the link if you are interested in the link, because I know it's very much something that everybody can benefit from. So moving on to what would be the next steps is in traditional hours, it really means care provided outside of your typical 7 a.m. through 7 p.m. hours. And what we look at this is Monday through Friday schedule. It might be something that is for all intended, right? We have children who are in school, children who are out of school. We have a lot of different hours. This also includes early morning care for before sunrise, evening care, overnight care, and every now and then that weekend or holiday care. The families that need that need these services the most include hospital staff, factory workers, restaurant employees, overnight shifts, emergency service workers, and many others who work is really schedules that don't fit the traditional childcare model of the 7 to 7. It's really outside of those hours. Okay. Now, when we're also looking as why offer these non-traditional hours, and a lot of the reason why we do that is because we really want to know what is our community needing. So why should we consider offering non-traditional care within your childcare business? And the reasons really are first and often an unmet community need for this type of care. Many families who work in the healthcare, manufacturing, restaurants, emergency services, and every now and then the retail are often the ones that struggle to find the childcare that is outside of the standard 7 to 7 window. We do see a lot of retail, a lot of people who work in the retail who have issues finding childcare outside of that 7 to 7 window when it comes to the holidays. Right after Thanksgiving, that Black Friday sale, a lot of people are looking for that childcare. Right around Christmas time when everyone is trying to get those last minute gifts or returning minute gifts, there is that window where there are a lot of families who need that care. We also look at emergency services who are really in high demand of needing that standard care to be outside of the non-traditional 7 to 7. There are usually fewer competitors willing or able to provide extended care. As a result, we're stepping into this space.
Space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Um,
actually. Okay, so as a result, stepping into this space can help you really stand out in your community and in the market because a lot of the times it's an additional revenue stream for your business. It's expanding your enrollment. It's helping you fill spots that you possibly have had open for a while. It's also maybe even building a little bit on, having your wait list maybe even be a little bit different. And it will not look the same as all the other childcare centers or facilities that are in the traditional hours. So this will really be helping fill up those spots during those times when your program is otherwise closed. Now, that kind of brings us
brings us
into
into
our
our
second poll.
second poll.
Let me go ahead. There we go. So this poll will help us understand the demand that you're already seeing. So if we can go ahead and pull this poll and you can vote and you can share with us in the chat as well, whichever one is best for you. What specific requests, if any, have you received from families? And these are your options. You can pick any one or multiple of them. So frequently, at least weekly, and you can look at sometimes a few times per month. You can also look at rarely, maybe about once a month, never, families haven't asked. And then finally, I'm not sure. I haven't really tracked this at all.
I apologize, Angelina. I cannot get the poll to launch. So
Yep.
Okay,
sorry about that.
let me see if I can get it to launch. Or number two, launch. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're seeing a lot of frequently. Okay, we do sometimes. Okay, we got about 5 seconds before we close it out. Thank you for all your participation. I really appreciate that. Okay,
Okay,
so
Barbara, can you hear me?
yes, ma'am. Okay, so overall, we have an overall of sometimes. Sometimes we are having parents who are really asking if that is something that you offer. So it really gives us an insight into some potential demand here. So those of you who get frequent requests already have evidence of your market needing it. For those who haven't been tracking or haven't or aren't sure really, here's a simple tip for starting to see if it is needed in your community. You can go ahead and start this week with a quick note whenever a family mentions a schedule change or that they might have a challenge, right? Especially since it's summertime and the children are possibly not in summer school or in inner session. They're actually just out either for a camp or they're staying at home. And this can put a little bit of an impact in that family schedule. So you might have a family who mentions a schedule challenge. They might ask about different hours, or they might talk to you about their work shift. There might be some sort of shift due to accommodations for all employees who are needing the same thing. So feel free to ask some of your current parents if they have a need for the extended hours. You might be surprised at what you've discovered when you first start listening for it, because it might have not been something you were listening for, but it is something that is present, and we just need to open up to it. So, in addition to asking families about their needs, there are a couple of simple ways to access the demand that is in your community. You want to think about major employers or businesses that might be near you. Some of you might be living in a very big city with, multiple hospitals, medical facilities, factories, maybe even an Amazon 24-hour business. There's also restaurants that run into the late evening hours. And a lot of these are just opportunities within our community to assist in those non-traditional hours. A simple test can also be if you were to take a drive around your area. If you were just to see what is within your area, and you can even test this out on time frames, at 6 o'clock in the morning or later in the day at about 8 o'clock in the evening. What do you see about what businesses are still open? What businesses are still operating late into the hours or early in the hours? And where are the children during these hours? This is where your opportunity is if this is something that you're really wanting to do in non-traditional hours. You can also research what's already available when using the Texas Child Care Connection website. And here you can see what competitors are offering. It gives you an insight into the sense of both demand and the competition in your area. And the link that we're going to have shown here, and I'm going to go ahead and put that into the chat. The link that we have here also will be sent in the chat for you to look at, and it's compare local offerings within where you are. And you basically just go into that link and it allows it to go ahead and be open to your area or within I know like where I live, we have like 8 zip codes. You can also enter per zip code, region. It's just really how you go into it. Okay. Now, when we look at the business impact and the considerations, we're always going to be thinking about when offering non-traditional hours is that we really need to be aware of what is not just about what we have to change in the time. It's also about what we're going to offer during this meals. We also need to consider all the other things that we would be doing during these hours when children are napping or sleeping. We want to be aware of how those hours will really change the way that you run the business. First is going to have to be looking at staffing. It will look way different from what your 7 to 7 is going to be looking. You want to be recruiting people who are willing and able to work late nights, early mornings, or weekends. Often this means offering higher wages and be more flexible with scheduling. Okay. Those are really one of the very first things that you want to be making sure that you are aware. Second, you're going to be looking at costs that can also increase. Utilities are staying on longer because you're operating during the late nights or early mornings, right? You may need to provide extra meals to the children in your care. The supervision requirements obviously are going to increase and look a little different. And third of all, you have to consider demand and whether the number of families who truly need the care at these times, because they are going to be very specific about these times, that they justify the added investment. Now, when we think of those things that we just talked about, we look at the next
Okay.
poll. The next poll, before we dive into any of the solutions, we need to identify some of your biggest concerns. And when we look at that, we look at what is going to help me focus on the areas that matter the most to you, which is very important, right? It's always important to make sure that we're looking at everything on every angle and how it is supposed to work. On your screen is the next poll. What's your biggest concern about offering non-traditional hours? Whoa, that one really got big impact on the personal time. Okay. Okay. I'm going to give you about 10 more seconds for everyone to go ahead and chime in. Oh,
Okay.
it seems like we are having a big impact on your personal time. Okay, not enough demand.
Oh,
Okay. So when we're looking at these results, really, it is a big indicator on what is out there. And these are all legitimate concerns. So thank you so much for being very vulnerable and sharing your thoughts. And we will briefly go over some of these concerns in the next several slides, but I want you to know that our micro learning track and the one-on-one coaching addresses this and more in depth because there is a whole lot more to it on how we understand the impact that it does, okay? Staffing is one of the biggest strategies that we can tell you is a big challenge within the childcare industry. So when it comes to non-traditional hours, it really does require careful planning. The recruitment, for example, you want to start by being clear about what those expectations are. You definitely want to make sure you are also clear about the benefits. And when writing those job descriptions and or the announcements for the extended hour roles, you definitely want to try and focus on candidates who are open to non-traditional schedules. A lot of the times you might see this in students, right? Students or part-time workers. You might want to consider partnerships with some of those local colleges near or around in your area. Some of them might even need something in the training programs. So a lot of this might look somewhere towards the workforce, right? So we also want to make sure that we're thinking about retention. So that is the other one that is on our screen right now is we especially want to keep the staff is just as important as finding them. So retention often really depends on offering that fair pay for those off hours, but also on building a supportive environment, right? Because these are the hours where it's not a whole lot of staff, but we definitely need to make sure that the staff is very much reliable, consistent, and that they're trustworthy for being long periods of time on their own, right? Because it is a long time. But being flexible, scheduling is the biggest one, that reliability. Wellness benefits is another important one. Professional development opportunities also is high on there because even though they are providing care in those non-traditional hours, they still need to maintain those professional development hours. And recognition programs also make all the difference. Okay. Now, when we look at the last one for budget impacts beyond wages, don't forget that the potential here is the added cost of overtime pay, sometimes the benefits or the training. You may also need to budget for things like staff break room, resources, or professional development materials because it is out of that traditional hours that they might require other trainings. The key takeaway really is that staffing success isn't just about hiring more people. It's more about creating conditions that really are going to keep your staff engaged. We really want to make sure that they also feel supported in the long term and that making these extended hours really, the extended hour care for your business is going to be sustainable. That is something that you can continue to offer, not just to families, but those in your community. And if you really think about it, those emergency services, people can't really leave an emergency to really try to handle their emergency. So they're very reliable and dependent on you and your staff. So it's very important to have these staffing be successful and retaining them, not just for the ones that they're providing services for, but also for your business sustainability. Okay. Now, when it comes to pricing, uh, many strategies. Changing your hours, it's really important to identify and to really understand how non-traditional hours are going to affect your business model. You want to start with expenses. So expenses also do really include that higher staff wage, the longer utilities staying on, increasing any supplies that you can possibly use on the daily. They might get extended to a little bit more because you're offering, some of us go from the traditional 7 to 7 to 24-hour care. Extended hours is just for that after, before 7 and after 7. We might be adding extra meals, right? And all of this ends up adding up. And you want to make sure that you're able to project what those costs would look like in your own program. Now, when we look at the next thing at the cost, we're looking at the care per child. So when you break down your expenses, you want to know what it really costs you to provide those extra hours. And then you want to check your local market. What are other non-traditional hour providers charging in your area? In some areas, it might be $16 an hour. In other areas, it might be $24 an hour. It just really depends on what your community is surrounded by and what type of non-traditional hours you are providing. Families will pay more for the convenience, but your pricing has to really fit your community's reality. Okay, you wouldn't be charging $25 in a community that that's not even a median income. It's not something that's affordable, so it's really not something that they can do. And this can inadvertently come back and impact you because you're waiting for families who can afford it versus families who really need it and are willing to pay that. Okay, so you really want to also use the national averages as benchmarks. You can use Google to kind of help you with this, but you can also use the link that we provided for the coverage in your area. But evening care might be falling in the 25% higher than the normal national average. And then if you look at overnight, it might be 40%. Weekends is a little bit different where it lands like right in the middle of like 35% national average. just because it is a weekend and depending on what you see as a weekend, it could be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or just Friday, Saturday. So we really want to look at that. And when we look at the holidays, just note the holidays might be a little bit higher in the national average. It might be at the 50 percentile. But remember that these are just percentages and they're just guidelines. They're not rules because it's not going to be the same across the board for everyone because of the different region that you all live in. It's all different. The key message here, though, is that the pricing for your non-traditional hours should be both data-driven and it should also be informed by your local market so that you're covering costs and staying competitive while you're still meeting the needs of all of your families that are requiring this specific need for non-traditional hours. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our final poll. When we look at pricing for those extended hours, it's also quite important to know where are you and where do you stand on charging premium rates for that extended hours. It's very important to know where we stand. So there's going to be a poll here and ready. We are going to launch that. Okay. Well, my poll says it's not going to launch. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to deviate just a little bit. Go ahead and answer in the chat which one of these is really going to make you feel a little comfortable in charging premium rates for extended childcare in your area. C. Okay. Okay, it's okay to be uncertain. And this is why we're here. This is just a preview of what you can get in-depth knowledge. And we can basically see, okay, perfect. Oh, thank you for launching the poll, Miss Jen. I appreciate that. Okay, and so looking from the answers, it's really interesting response, and thank you for sharing. I do see that a lot of it really is going to be the uncertainty, just due to the fact that it requires some research. And that's perfectly fine because remember, the premium pricing really isn't about taking advantage. It's really about how does it reflect the real additional cost of providing care during those hours because that non-traditional hour is not going to be run the same way as if you were to be open from 6 in the morning until 5 in the evening. Families who really need these services understand that they're getting specialized and convenient care that really requires a lot of additional resources, and they will have to adjust their compensation as a result. And they understand that. They understand that. And a lot of the times you're relieving a lot of that pressure and with that one individual family by being able to offer them this specialized and convenient care of those non-traditional hours. So it is very important to them. So we look a little bit more of a introductory to a deep dive of what it is whenever we're looking at whether or not you're ready for this. So to take some time, just complete this small self-assessment. And it's really about stepping back and asking, am I ready for this? Am I ready for both a business and a personal standpoint? On the business side, you look at questions and you just really want to answer them for yourself, and it'll give you an indicator as to where you stand. Because on the business side, whether you know the demand in your community and if you've already reviewed some of those licensing requirements for extended hours, and you think about your budget and your cash flow, and you're saying, you know what? If I give myself this amount of time in this period of time, I can probably take on and fill some new spots if I were to go non-traditional hours. I could possibly, market a little bit better for non-traditional hours. And finally, whether you're really actually just looking at an outline of what a marketing strategy for this type of situation of non-traditional hour care, if you want to look at that strategy, it's really about how you can connect with those families who really need these hours. because there is a vast majority of families who do need them. And then we look at the personal side. Okay. If you've answered the top four questions, look at the personal side of this. Think about whether you have the time and energy to take on this kind of change. It is going to take a toll on you to try to stay awake if you're the only one, to get somebody who can maintain staying awake and do certain things throughout the night to stay awake, because it's about that reliability and that dependability and trust in that person. So go ahead and take a couple of minutes and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 on these questions. And then we can kind of maybe even share a little bit of what might feel like a strongest area for you. And you can put it in the chat or come off mute, whichever one is you would like. And in answering these questions, if you ever find yourself in a place where you might find one of those biggest challenges, maybe you'd like to share that in the chat and realize that you're not alone. There's a lot of us who come into this with a big challenge. And I believe some of you had already answered that it was based on the impact that it would have in your personal life. All 1 to 5. Yes. Okay. 1 no, 3 no, yes, no. Okay. Would anybody like to come off mute and maybe discuss a little bit of what your thoughts are? Or maybe why you answered to some of these questions?
Um, I mean, I, on all of these, I would say my, I'm like at a 1. I'm just starting to tiptoe into this, um, this idea because I have had a few people who work in restaurants, overnights and asked about, I've seen on postings on Facebook that they have trouble finding, um, daycares. They have
Yeah.
trouble finding childcare for those types of hours. So I've just started to dip my toes in it. So I'm still a 1 on all of this. I don't know what all it would entail. So I still have to do a lot of research.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. Just know we also have our micro learning track, which does dive deeper into everything that it might entail. And it might actually give you the answers that you're looking for some of those what if questions or questions about, I don't know. Because that's really how our micro learning tracks are built, is right now we're giving you an intro to what it holds, and our coaches actually kind of help you answer those questions. I can give you a little bit of feedback on some of the times that I myself have done this when I had my own childcare. And realistically, mine was more so for the military. So it was really consistent to the point where I knew who was going to need it during what time, because their schedules were 30 days. Like I already knew which person it was. And it did increase the way that I had to charge them. But at the same time, it really did not impact my personal life. It did not, because my parents and my family were two different entities, and my parents and families all knew that I needed my family time, I needed my downtime, my doctor times. And as long as I let them know with enough advance notice, they were perfectly fine. The biggest thing was actually just being really big on communication, both, actively listening, making sure that I was sharing with them, that I was open and honest with them whenever I needed something. And they were 100% willing to work with me. A lot of the times, that's really all it is they need to feel that bond. They need to feel that closeness that you understand. And you have to understand that there has to also be some boundaries, right? We have to have boundaries and we have to know like, hey, this is just not something that I'm okay with. And that's totally fine. And that's part of the things that we do discuss in the micro learning track. And it's because right now, this is just an introductory into the non-traditional hours and just giving you a little bit of a highlight of what we do talk about. But in depth, in small dosages, we do talk about this in our short learning tracks, okay, in our micro learning tracks. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next slide when we're looking at marketing. So we want to talk about non-traditional marketing hours, and we just want to make sure that you know it doesn't mean hanging a flyer or just boosting a Facebook post. It's really the fastest way and the most suitable way to fill those extended hours slots is through business partnerships, the hospitals, your emergency facilitators like the police department, the fire department. If you have animal services in your area, believe it or not, they work really extended hours as well because of the situations that they come across. Sometimes they have to pick up a pet that they might have found somewhere or got hit or something. When we also look at this, we want to make sure that we're looking at schools within the area as well. And when I say schools, there's a lot of nursing schools that are doing their stuff throughout those non-traditional hours as well. But it is the fastest way to fill in those slots is through partnership in those businesses. Hospitals, the factories, the emergency services, all industries where staff are regularly working outside of that 7 to 7 window. Because when we build those partnerships with them, it really is how we get our word of mouth of the services that we provide. So looking to the HR department, maybe creating some sort of arrangement like a referral program, some priority slots with some doctors or probably the chief of fire, maybe a chief or commander from the police department. There's always someone who's going to need it. You might even kind of like, work with them for shared costs in the tuition, 10% off for anyone that you refer, kind of. It's really something where you would be able to afford what you're looking at the cost. Alongside these, we also look at a lot of the community outreach through various channels, not just one. We always want to look at all the channels that we can possibly look at. Many of you might already be using social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right? There's a whole lot there. But we might also want to look at family groups. There might be those family groups at the library who are doing their children's school is going there for a field trip and they're doing their social time there. We look at a lot of the recs and centers. A lot of the families are also needing that because family groups is also very important. And then we look at bulletin boards. Bulletin boards can be just about anywhere. Apartment complexes, libraries, we can look at the supermarkets, they have them there as well. Everybody's got to go to a supermarket. Everybody has to go, get groceries. We want to look at all of our community outreach, not just the ones that we feel comfortable on. We kind of have to expand a little bit, right? Because we want to not only build the notice, the job announcement, we also want to make sure that we build a little bit of awareness and that we attract families who may not yet have an employer connection. You never know. You might connect with somebody who's exactly what you need and exactly what they need. If you want to dive even deeper into the sales and marketing side of this, we do also have a business. For your business, we also do have an entire sales and marketing micro learning track for this portion if it's something that you're wanting to look at as well. And it's just really just to get more understanding of everything that this entails. Now, we also want to make sure that we understand that there's going to be a lot of problem solving. So we want to facilitate some sort of problem solving among the group. And this is really your chance to get practical help from the peers that might see or have come across some of these real challenges. And maybe you're worried about a particular aspect, maybe one like, how's it going to affect my personal time? Or you may have a unique situation where you've tried something before and it just didn't work out. Someone might have had the same situation and overcome and maybe can help. Would anybody like to share about any sort of situation that you might have attempted, or even a concern that you might want to bring up that maybe we can walk through, talk up through? You
Hi,
can feel.
oh, I'm sorry. This is Lakeisha with ONG Learning Center. One of the things that I have attempted to do previously was communicate with restaurants and et cetera, even joining like a chamber of commerce within my community. But I still feel like trying to reach out to the human resource department, a lot of times they have been outsourced with hospitals and et cetera. And so trying to create this partnership, giving them discounts, even if it's 10% on registration, I still find it difficult to have that information shared with employees. Do you have any recommendations? I've even went through the process of putting a sign in my yard, letting people know that a daycare is in operation.
Okay. So great strategy. Very great. I will just recommend one thing. It is a little bit like having to do a resume. It's time to outshine, grow, and put it out there in a way that you are not so much selling the idea, but you're selling the fact that this is something that you're doing. It is something you have experience with. So it's kind of building a resume in a different way. Okay. You want to highlight what hours. You want to highlight how long you've done it. You want to also highlight your license. I would not put any address on there. Maybe a QR code so that they can contact you. Something in the aspect of you're showing trust up front and you're hoping that they come to that part because that's really what they need. Those non-traditional hours, it's all about trust because they don't know you. Two, they're going to have to do this during the hours that it's the most vulnerable to some. So we definitely want to make sure that when we're out there putting what we're offering in those non-traditional hours, that it's a safe environment. If they're awake, that it's a learning environment, that it's a one-on-one smaller group environment. How you're going to put attention to detail, what is the emergency plans, all these things are going to be things that they're going to want to know. So maybe just kind of a short resume of those bullet points that you do offer. Extra meals, if you're part of the CACFP, all these things. Does that help a little bit?
Yes, ma'am, it does. Thank you so
Uh,
much.
Oh, of course. Anybody else? We got room for one more. Okay, we'll go ahead
I
and keep
have
going. Yes, go ahead.
okay. Well, I guess the like one thing that's holding me back is what it looks like to offer non-traditional hours. Like there's the choice of, are you going to keep them on everybody else's schedule and just have them sleep throughout those hours? Or I've seen other daycares that actually keep them awake and put them on their parents' schedule. So they'll keep them awake all night with activities like a regular daycare, and then they'll go sleep with whenever their parents pick them up. So that's something that I is kind of holding me back, is kind of figuring out which direction I would want to go.
Okay. So when there's two things for you that I am going to offer. One is definitely sign up for the micro learning track to get more deeper dive into that one. And two, when it comes time to what you want to decide on how you're going to offer these services, it's really going to come down to you. So you're going to be the one to decide if you're going to offer stay awake hours during that time so that they work with the family, or if you're going to stick to the original, they're going to sleep during this time and we're going to do this. If there's a child who's awake, I'll stay with the child. Believe it or not, there are even some homes and child care centers that actually provide this service for ill children. because they have enough space that they can locate the children where they can stay sick. Parents can go to work for a little bit of time, come back and pick up the children, and they're located in specific areas where they're not going to get others sick. This could be teething, diaper rashes, or just low-grade fevers from their growing pains and things like that. But these are other services that could be offered. So it doesn't necessarily mean stay awake, stay asleep. It could be, and there's so many ideas out there that you can do non-traditional hours for. And realistically, what it looks like is what you want it to look like. And really, what does your community need right now? Because if these children are of school age, it might be beneficial to them to stay of school age hours because it's going to be a struggle to get them back onto a sleeping schedule to be ready for school. And I understand it is summertime, but summertime still kind of has to operate a little bit of the same way time. When the children are awake and not in your care, it's really up to the parent at that time how they handle that versus when they're in your care, it's what you're offering. So you need to decide what you want to offer. Every situation, everything is going to be different, but you have to decide how you want to operate it. I
Okay,
hope that
that makes
helped.
sense. Yes, yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead and keep moving forward. We're almost done here. So I really want to thank you all for sharing. It was really great. Thank you. And what we really just want to say is collectively, it's really about how you feel you want to do this. The collective wisdom can apply here is that peer learning is one of the most valuable aspects of being part of the Texas family childcare community, and really knowing what is in your community is the way to tackle this. If you want to be able to pretty much like know how to move forward with this, the micro learning track is a really good start. You can really ask a lot of deep dive questions. You can ask a lot about one-on-ones. You might even get to hear if someone has already attempted this and how they went about it. I myself started off with just providing care for some of the nurses and stuff that I had working with the military. It worked out great for a while, up until the time that I started getting more of the parents who were overseas. And then it became one of those things where it was different. Yes, did you have something to share? Okay. And so for the next thing we have is our list of resources. So before we wrap up, we really just want to make sure that today's event, that I want you to be able to walk through some of the additional support options that are available to you so that you know you won't be going through this alone. We are here with you through the whole thing. As I keep mentioning, it's a micro learning track. It's because it's really a really great series. We are doing these in 4 1-hour sessions. And really what it helps is they're just really designed to give you more structure. You go through a structured introduction, you go through a walkthrough of what we have in for that one micro learning track. And then we go through a couple of key steps and we offer considerations of the offering of non-traditional hour care. And the track is really just a great option for you to learn alongside other providers and hear different perspectives. Know that you can build your confidence step by step because they are small dosage of things that you need to implement if you're serious about doing the non-traditional hours. And additionally, your actually more individualized support is also coming in with a one-on-one coaching. And it's really good because that one-on-one coaching, you can completely customize how you're going to do your childcare business. Anything that you might want to implement, anything that you might want to change. We can help you personalize your market analysis. We can help you with strategizing some of the staff development. We can also help you walk through a little bit of the financial planning and how to price, how you're going to be charging. But we have so much more. It's really about how you want to go about this. As a reminder, like all of these resources are really just to support you through the Texas FCCN. And it's really included just really something for the verified network members. And really, it's all completely free. It's really not anything that is of cost to you. You can scan this QR code that's right here on your screen, and you can actually go ahead and it'll take you right to the FCCN website, and you can look through it. We do have these additional coaching opportunities, and they're both one-on-one market learning tracks, and the other one is one-on-one coaching. So as you can see, we have deep dives into micro learning tracks. And if there's one that you're just like, I need more, I want more, then you go ahead and do a one-on-one coaching. And it's uniquely tailored to your wanting one-on-one. And that's how they work. This is our full advantage of the membership. It is free. We do have many shared services, as you can see on your screen. And when you use your phone and you take a picture of that QR code, it is going to take you to the areas that you wanted to. It's really just a way to save time. It's to reduce your costs. It's to invest in your business long term. It's really the core of FCCN. And it's really more about how we can deliver more resources to you and making it a lasting impact. Okay, because we're here to help you strengthen your financial operations and your emotional resilience of family childcare. Okay, because when you thrive and children are thriving, families all across Texas are also thriving because it starts where you're at. So, and this is a way that we can look at these several benefits. Do we have any questions on any of these benefits? Any deep dives that you might want to know? Miss
Hi.
Barbara, did you? Hi. Hi, Miss Barbara.
Hi.
I didn't know if you wanted to share something. You were off mute. So.
You
Okay,
know what? Yeah, it's
let her
like
finish first. Okay, let her finish.
my whole
Yes.
thing's been messing up the whole time I've been on here. It went off, came back on, went off again. So I don't know.
Would you like for me to mute you? There you go. You're good. You're good.
Okay, so I have been trying to get a license. I am registered home provider over 10 years, but I try to get a license. I cannot do it. There is any way I can get any kind of help.
Yes, we can definitely be able to help you. We will, after we're done, if you can stay on for a little bit, we'll get your contact information and we'll connect you with one of our coaches so that we can make sure we reach out to you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Just stay on afterwards, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
You know what?
so
Hi. This is Barbara Lee. I would like to talk to you later on afterwards, also. Okay.
sounds good, Miss Barbara. Yes, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, so when we look at these four shared services, our employee assistance program, just so you know, a little quick info on it, it's at no cost to you for 1 year. Okay, you just have to be a member of Texas FCCN. All right. And then when you look
Yes.
at the next one, the telehealth program, this telehealth program is really one that offers a lot of eligible providers a fully paid 1 year membership where you get access to the virtual care, including urgent care, primary care, talking with a therapist, and or wellness coaching. Zero copay. The child care management program does offer the 1 year of free access. And right now we do have a couple for, I want to say we used to have one for Bright Wheel, Playground, and I believe we have a new one coming up, but I will get back to you if you need the information for that. And then lastly, the applications for the technology, we do have those, but we are in waiting of what that's going to look like for this year. Okay, so Texas FCCN is financed by Texas Workforce Commission and it is operated by Civitas Strategies in partnership with Shine Early Learning. And we are also in partnership with United Ways of Texas. This is why it is a free statewide support system designed exclusively for childcare family providers. Okay, whether you're licensed, registered, listed, considering starting your FCC business, this network really is targeted just for you, offering you these resources for your success. Many of the areas that Texas FCCN does support is a professional development, and we use that through the micro learning tracks, the one-on-one coaching with an expert. We also do a lot of networking opportunities, and upon qualifying, access to some of the cost saving services that we offer. Okay, I will go. You are welcome. You're no problem. We're also going to include the little QR code at the bottom of your screen, and that'll take you to the website for Texas FCCN so you can get more information. We have a calendar on there as well for regional connections. Regional connections really is just a area region where they get together, they talk through anything that's going on. I believe the closest one coming up is the one for Austin is having a roundtable on Saturday. And then we have a couple of them, but if you look on the calendar, you'll see one that is fitting for you in your area. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for attending our event. I really would like to say thank you for being here. I hope we've connected and we have gotten a lot of information to you. And if you have any questions or you need additional information, please let us know. So yes, this is just our contact information. So if you feel free, just go ahead and take a picture of the QR code, contact us in many forms. We have many ways to be here to support you. So thank you so much for being here. And if you have anything additional, you're done for the day. I appreciate your time.